Yesterday we got 4 brand new images from Jurassic World Rebirth, revealing new locations like a very intriguing swamp location, new vehicles like the interior of the boat they were on, which I may have called a trailer in yesterday's video by accident, and very excitingly this image right here of Scarlett Johansson running through the forest, dragging around this lockbox which I suspect contains this important genetic material, and it's also our very first hint at the vehicle they're going to use to get around whatever island this might end up being. We can just about see it in the background there. You can see it's this angular kind of rustic sort of design. Well, thanks to Real News Hawaii, who just posted a bunch of photos, we now have a proper full look at these vehicles. And there's an interesting little detail in this one that's definitely worth talking about. Let's take a look. So here we've got an overview of 3 different vehicles. You can see they're all numbered, just like they were back in the original Jurassic Park films. And we've got our first proper look at the designs. So you can see this kind of tan colouring, dark grey, and this sort of burnt orange coloration. It's very reminiscent of the Ranger vehicles from the original film. And the vehicle in general, I would say, has a more... I mean, this is quite a common thing with this film so far, but there's quite the Lost World Jurassic Park vibe going on. It definitely has that gritty, grounded, tactile kind of feel, which is really something I wanted for this film. They're very angular and sort of modern in that way, but these aren't glossy, high-tech vehicles like we see in Jurassic World. These are very much built for purpose. They're lightweight despite being huge. I would suggest they're quite similar to the Halo Warthog in terms of how they've been built. They're built to be all-terrain, they're raised high up on the suspension, they've got big tyres, they're cut out so that they're nice and lightweight, but they're still hardy and tough, and that's very much what the Warthog was going for. It's also worth noting before we move on to the next one, if you look at the front of the vehicle on the right hand side, it's got these big brown straps that are then hooked in via chains to the bumper at the front there, and assuming that's part of the film and not part of transferal of these vehicles in real life, then that's important in some ways, because that's likely how they say tie these vehicles down onto boats. They're going to use those straps to maybe keep the vehicles more secured during transport. Let's take a look at the next image. I'm gonna give you a second. Right, so we've got this fantastic look at the vehicle. Again, completely cut out from the side. Terrible for dinosaur protection, it must be said. I'd be very curious to see if there's anything they've got there. If they've got a roll cage at the top, of course, but the side is completely exposed. Now that doesn't protect you from dinosaurs, but it does mean you can get in and out of the vehicle very quickly. It keeps the vehicle lighter. But the interesting thing as well is that the vehicle has been destroyed. You can see the whole thing is kind of rusting and dirty. There's a hole torn out of the back seat there. You see this is actually a 5-seater vehicle. There's sort of a hole and a rip in that back seat. There's a sort of a spare tire kind of haphazardly shoved in there as well, pushing one of the seats forward. But the really interesting thing is not the vehicle design at all, it's just this logo over here. There is an InGen logo at the back of the vehicle. Now, we've seen hints of InGen in the past, of course. We've seen it on signs around the telephone pole and stuff like that. There's been hints about InGen for a while, and that's part of why people suspect maybe we're on Isla Sorna, that maybe they're finding remnants of InGen lying around the island. But the thing about having it on the vehicle is it gives us 2 options. A, are these vehicles abandoned? You know, it is kind of torn up, it's kind of dirty and rusting a little bit. Have these vehicles, which we've never seen before, been abandoned to this island? But the vehicles are very modern, and they don't necessarily blend in with what InGen would have been doing in the past. So the alternative to that, of course, is that InGen are somehow involved still, somehow, in a modern capacity. Now, InGen does still exist, but it was a subsidiary of Masrani, and Masrani, of course, is no longer really the active company we've been looking at. It's been Biosyn focused lately. We haven't heard tale of InGen for a while now. Do InGen still exist? Is it still a subsidiary? Are they separated again from Masrani? Is Masrani somehow sticking around as a company? Has someone, and I'm not sure who it would be, started up InGen again? We don't know what this pharmaceutical company is called. And InGen, of course, had a lot of genetic research into dinosaurs, etc., which we know is going to be used by this pharmaceutical company. That's what they're looking into. They're looking into the genes of dinosaurs for pharmaceuticals. So it does feel like a natural fit. Has Rupert Friend's pharmaceutical company maybe bought out InGen and resurrected them for the purposes of this mission and stuff like that. Or is it simply an abandoned InGen vehicle? I'm not going to write off that possibility. You know, I'm not going to suggest that isn't possible, but it is interesting that we're seeing InGen on these very modern looking vehicles. The interesting thing is not just the InGen logo, but also the Jurassic Park logo to the top left. And that really opens up another whole new door of possibilities, because why would there be a Jurassic Park logo on a modern InGen vehicle? But why would there be a Jurassic Park logo on any vehicle that isn't on Isla Nublar? This actually might be more interesting than the InGen logo in some ways, because the only reason you can think of why they'd have that logo, that is the Jurassic Park logo, is because it's on Isla Nublar. But I'd be very surprised if it is on Isla Nublar. Of course, we had the San Diego incident, so what if what's actually going on here is that in secret InGen in sometime in the 90s, it could have been after the Lost World incident. What if InGen, before the events of Jurassic World, let's say, had actually started to develop a new island, a new dinosaur park, a new dinosaur breeding ground, and they planned to maybe open it up to the public eventually? They planned to have a second go at building a Jurassic Park, and it didn't happen for whatever reason. Maybe whatever that reason is what's going to end up causing havoc to our protagonists in this film. I don't know. I don't want to look, like I already have been, I know, but I don't want to look too much into what is a bunch of logos and stuff like that. But I do think it's interesting. I think that's a very interesting combination of logos to have that opens up a whole world of possibilities. We do have one final shot. We can once again see that InGen logo. This is vehicle 02. So earlier on I talked about how destroyed the vehicle is, and you know, that suggests it could be abandoned, but this one is clean and tidy. It's completely neat. The seats aren't ripped in the slightest. The framework is completely clean. Now it could be like a promo shot or something like that. It kind of looks, given the lighting, like it's a promo shot. So again, I don't think we should look too much into this. I suspect down the line we might see a much cleaner version of this photo for promotional materials and merchandise tie-ins and stuff like that. It feels like that kind of shot, but it is interesting to note that it isn't destroyed and dirty. Given how it's framed, I'm not going to over-egg this one, but we can see the water in the distance as well. Water, very, very important in this film. It keeps coming up over and over again. We've got hints of at least 2 aquatic creatures appearing in the film so far, based on toy lines and various other things. Toy lines shouldn't be trusted point blank, but always interesting to know. And if nothing else, it's our best look yet at the whole framework, whole design of this vehicle. And yeah, I'm a really big fan. I think they look absolutely fantastic. This is exactly what I wanted design-wise from this film. It looks like a modernized The Lost World Jurassic Park, and I think that's a really cool aesthetic to go for. I'm very curious about some things here. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What does this InGen logo mean? And that Jurassic Park logo popping up, does that have any significance? And more importantly, just in general, what do we think about these brand new vehicle designs? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you lovely folks very soon. Cheers, much as always. Bye-bye.
Road.